Shut up and sit down.
Greetings, fellow travelers. Oblix here, and today I want to talk to you about the Invicta Bolt. How y'all doing today? So, this is the Invicta Bolt, and this is how it comes. This is their presentation, and it's pretty awesome, I gotta tell you. Now, Invicta catches a lot of flack in the watch community. People who own Invictas are looked down on. The company itself is looked down on. It's, there's just a lot of hatred out there for Invicta, and it's kind of sad because this is one of the oldest watchmakers in the world, people. One of the oldest. It's older than Rolex. It's older than Omega. It harkens from the fabled Swiss watchmaking regions. So why do they get so much hate amongst watch snobs? And I am going to call them watch snobs because anybody that looks down on somebody else's watch is a snob. Now, you don't have to like it. If you say, hey, I don't like that, I don't like that color, I don't like that shape, I don't like this style, that's fine. That's a personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that. But to say, you're less of a watch collector because you have an Invicta, or you have a Fossil, or you have a Timex. It's just ridiculous. If the watch provides you, the wearer, with a sense of joy, if you take pleasure every time you see it on your wrist, that's all that matters. What these other snobs have to say means nothing. They're pointless, arrogant little twits who just don't deserve the time of day. Pun intended. So, this is the Invicta Bolt, and I gotta tell you, I don't have a problem with Invicta. Now, in 1991, the company was sold. The original family had owned it since the 1800s, somewhere in there. Don't remember the exact year off the top of my head. Again, they're one of the oldest watch manufacturers on Earth. The family sold it in 1991. The group that bought it kind of took a different direction, which is a lot of where the hate comes from, I believe. And they make bigger, bolder, brasher watches, flamboyant watches, which I get. That's not, a lot of people's thing. A lot of people don't like that. They want, they're in all these ritzy, yuppie types are into those minimalist, disappear watches, which is fine if that's what you like. But don't knock the people that do like the bigger, bolder, brasher watches, because it's their right to like it. If they like it, who are you to say it's bad? Let them be. So, the Invicta Bolt, I've been up on my high horse for long enough. This is the presentation, and I got to tell you, it's pretty awesome. Bright yellow box. I mean, it jumps out at you just sitting on the shelf, right? It's a hard box all the way around. Invicta stitched across, or raised across the front. It's not stitched, but it is raised. And that's the only branding on the whole thing. The whole rest of the box, just bright yellow. It does have this neat texture across the top, common on Invicta boxes. And let's take a look at what's inside. Oh yeah, nice. So the Invicta Bolt. Now, typical Invicta style, you got this paler yellow soft insert here and pillow. We've got instructions and stuff up top here. Let me twist this around so I can get these out because there's some fiddly bits inside holding them in. And pull these out here. And we get a little envelope, instructions, warranty card, and more instructions. Simple instructions. 1837 is as long as Invicta's been making watches. Now, that's just crazy time. Again, one of the oldest in the world. So, move all this garbage out of the way. And take a look at the bolt. We'll pop it out of case. And we have some tags and stuff in here I will show you in a minute. Let me just set this off to the side here, and we'll pop it off the pillow. And here you go. Now, this is a chunky monkey. It's typical Invicta style, big, bold, and brash. Or typical modern day Invicta style, let me put it that way. Big, bold, and brash. You don't have to like it. You don't like it, that's fine. Sit down, shut up, and let the people who do like it be happy. So, it's pretty darn thick. And you notice it's got a bunch of different blues going on here. And of course my phone's going crazy, and I don't even know where my phone is at this point in time, because it wouldn't be an Oblix video without my phone going nuts. So a lot of different color blues. You got the shade of the blue on the silicon band, or actually this is a polyurethane band. You have the shade of the blue here on the inside of the bezel. You have shade of the blue for the screws, a different shade of the blue for the steel cable. It is a steel cable, by the way, that wraps around in here. Let me hold it up here, see if the camera will focus. You can see the steel band that runs the entire length of the way around the watch. Pretty cool feature. I like that a lot. They do that on a lot of the Bolt series, though not all of the Bolt series. You got the blue again on the buttons, the chronograph buttons, and the crown as a cap on the crown. A different color blue on the face of the watch, and in these little segments down at the bottom, and yet a different color blue on the second wheel for the chronograph down at the bottom down there. Let's see if I can get that in here where you can see it. See that different color blue down here at the very bottom wheel at the 6 o'clock. So there's a lot of blue going on. Also on the screws here on the side, yet another color blue. It's like the honchos at Invicta sat around the conference table, and one of them said to the other, "Hey, we want to do a new Bolt watch. What do you want to do?" And the guy said, "Well, I like blue. Let's do one in blue." And he's like, "Well, what color blue?" He's like, "Yes, all the blue. Do all the blue." So this is what they came up with, and they did all the blue. So, there's lighter blue, there's darker blue, there's steel blue, there's just blue all over the place, and all different manners of blue. Kind of crazy. You got a second hand, traditional second hand, the large sweep hand. You've got a minute and an hour hand on the face. And then you've got a 24-hour clock at the 3 o'clock position. At the 4:30, you've got a date complication. At the 6 o'clock, so that's over here, at the 6 o'clock you've got the seconds for the chronograph. And over here at the 9 o'clock you've got a minutes for the chronograph. You've got it is luminescent. We'll give you a lume shot here in a little bit. The lume pips are raised around the sloped angle of the bezel. It's got it's very raked from the edge of the bezel here down to the face. It's got a nice little rake to it, and the pips are raised on that rake. It does have dive markings here, but they're it's not a rotating bezel, so they're kind of useless. They're just there for aesthetics. I love that color blue where the Invicta logo is at the top. Man, that is a gorgeous blue, and that's actually what led me to buy this watch, was that absolutely stunning color of blue. It very closely resembles the blue on my Seiko, my wear watch of the day, my Seiko SNKN 41. Fantastic automatic watch, by the way. We'll be reviewing that one later. So again, it's a chunky monkey. There is Invicta branding on the buckle, but there's not on the crown. It is a textured crown. So now let me pop this open and we'll take a look at the back here. All right, there we go on the back. You can see the Bolt logo there, if I can hold it open. And we'll get it focused and in good light. And I'll just kind of move it around so hopefully the reflection at some point in there lines up where you can see what's going on. And it does say a nautical ensemble. So it is a Japanese chronograph, and it is running the VD53, so nothing stellar, but nothing bad. It'll last you forever. Instead, it is a polyurethane strap, and they do not indicate what type of stainless steel this guy is. So that I'm going to give them a ding for that. If you're using good steel, you're going to say you're using good steel. They don't say what steel they're using, so they're probably not using the greatest of steel. It's freaking heavy, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. You could beat muggers off with this thing. It is water resistant down to 100 meters, and it is modeled 25465. Now, these inserts here in the polyurethane strap, these are actually metal. They're not fake plastic or anything like that. They are metal, and they are screwed in. You can see right here on the side of the polyurethane strap where they're screwed in. And if I flex the strap a little bit, you can see how they're actually metal there across. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. I'm going to say this. This is an inexpensive watch, but it's not built cheaply. It doesn't feel like a cheap watch. It feels like a much more expensive watch. Now, that's where Invicta kind of falls a little bit flat on their face. Another detail I like is the anchor right here at the 6 o'clock. I forgot to show you. That's actually raised up a little bit. Pretty nice. But where Invicta falls on their face, and where I think criticism of Invicta is justified. One of the criticisms people will make is that their pricing is ridiculous, and it absolutely 100% is. It's just galactically stupid. It's well beyond ridiculous. I will show you this tag, which was on the buckle of this watch. This tag contains the MSRP for this watch. Now, I want you to take a guess and put right now down yonder down there what you think the number on this tag is. What would you expect the MSRP of this watch to be? An unknown stainless steel, a glass face. Now it is what do they call it? Flame Fusion. That's an Invicta thing. Nobody else uses it, but it's some form of coated glass for scratch resistance. It doesn't have anti-reflectivity, but it does have some scratch resistance. And from all standards, everybody, what most people say, it's pretty decent. It's not the greatest in the world. It's not sapphire, but you're not paying the sapphire cost either. There's a lot of stainless steel in this, and you are getting the Japanese movement. Not great movement, but decent movement. So what would you imagine the price tag on this guy would be? Did you get it? Did you get it written down there? I gave you plenty of time. Ready for the big reveal? And bam! The thump you heard was all the people that just fell over at one time. Because nobody would guess that is a stupid price tag. This thing, I'm sorry, it doesn't... you could have charged this back in the day, Invicta, when y'all were leading the pack and some of the best watches on the planet. But y'all aren't that anymore. Don't get me wrong. You make nice watches. I like your watches. Got a lot of Invicta watches, but come on, really? MSRP over $1,000? $1,100 almost? That's just staggering. Unbelievably staggering. So, what? I can't even do it, guys. This is the point where I normally ask, would I pay that for a watch? Would I pay the MSRP for the watch? And I would normally say something cheeky like, only a goofball pays, MSRP for a watch. But in this case, guys, seriously, if you pay MSRP for an Invicta, you need to be removed from the gene pool. There's a serious problem with you that I don't think can be fixed. I don't even think people at Invicta would pay the Invicta price, because this watch, brand new on Invicta's website, is not even close to this price tag. Even Invicta scratching their own head going, what the heck? We can't sell it for that. It's just crazy, guys. It's crazy. Invicta themselves is selling it for around $500. And I don't know if they're actually even selling any at that price. I just know they want that price for it. What did I buy it for? Well, I've got the other tag right here in the box. Let me pull that out. What did I pay for it? Bam, $120. So, that's one heck of a discount. From $1,100 down to $120. I am the best negotiator on the face of the planet. Not really. I just shopped at TJ Maxx, and TJ Maxx has great deals on watches. So, like I said, you can, on average, find this guy for between $300 and $400. Invicta sells it for $5. TJ Maxx running them right now for $120. So obviously they're clearing them out. But yeah, don't ever pay MSRP for an Invicta, please. But let's jump this guy on the scale, because it is a chunky monkey. Let's get this guy teared out, and here we go. And take a look. 7.6, our heaviest to date. This thing is, again, a serious chunky monkey. Now, I've got bigger. You've seen bigger, actually. I was wearing one in a previous video. Also an Invicta, by the way. But yeah, she's a chunky monkey. Let's take a look at how big she is. Oh, gotta keep opening the calipers even more. Boom. All right. Diameter 52, guys. Biggest one to date is, again, it's a beast. It's an absolute beast. Let's look at across with the crown. We're looking at, what is that, 56? She's big. All the way around, she's big. Not replaceable band. Well, probably replaceable, but I don't think you would want to, because you're killing the style at that point. But I do see some lugs down in here. We can replace it if we need to. And you're looking at a 19. Height-wise, guys, again, chunky monkey is going to be thick. Let's take a look. And we're looking at 17, almost 18. So on the height. She's a big beast all the way around. So, Hall of Famer? No. Again, Hall of Famer means, would I buy it again if something were to happen to it? No, I wouldn't. It was a one-time purchase because it was fun. It was something I wanted to do. It put a smile on my face. I got some enjoyment out of it. This guy's actually on the chopping block. I'm going to be selling him pretty soon because I've got another very similar watch from a different manufacturer on the way in. Should be shipping out tomorrow. So another, blue silicone band, blue on the inside, little bit larger watch. I just don't need two of the same thing sitting here. So it's on the chopping block. It'll probably be gone later this week. But I have enjoyed my time with it. I don't knock Invicta. I don't have a problem with them. Other than that price tag is stupid. But as far as a watch manufacturer, they do just fine. Got no problems. People give them crap because they build big old fat chunky monkey watches, but some people like fat chunky monkey watches, And, sit down, shut up, don't knock us. Let us have our good time. Let's get this guy on wrist. And today I am Schwarzkopfing it, as kind of is my norm. I got the Pebble time on this one. Got a few days left until June 30th when Fitbit cuts us off. Irritatingly, taking the heart and soul out of an amazing watch and forcing us into their stupid watches that nobody buys, which is why they're struggling as a company right now. I'm on my soapbox again. I'm going to try to get off. And got the Seiko SNK N41. A fantastic little automatic watch. We'll pull this guy off. Automatic movement. Great little watch. We'll do a review on that one later down the road. So let's get this guy on wrist. and take a look at the Invicta Bolt. I mean, just everything's chunky about this guy. That buckle is huge. Now, there we go on wrist. Again, it is a big watch, but it doesn't restrict or hinder movement. I don't even, I don't rub up against it or feel it in any way when I'm moving around. It's heavy. Remember, we put it on scale. It's chunky. So when you twist your wrist this way, you are going to feel that weight. When you go this way, you're going to feel that weight pulling down on the watch. But if you cinch it down real good with that big old heavy buckle back there, it's going to stay put. You're just going to, you twist your wrist quickly, you're going to feel it kind of dragging you a little further along than you would normally do. Now, one thing I don't like is this tab right here is a little bit long. You see when I pull it out, how it's covering up that detail of those metal bits inside that polycarbonate band. This tab is a little too long for my taste, and I am having to cinch it up pretty good. And I don't have small wrists, guys, so they built this thing for, who in their right mind? Yeah, I don't think I ever met nobody with no wrist that big. That's a heck of a wrist right there. I guess there might be somebody, but man, about 9 feet tall. Let's show it to you this way, where everything's right side up to you, and it's on wrist. There we go. Again, it's a heavy piece, but I don't mind a heavy piece as long as it's not, so heavy I can't pick my arm up. Now that'd be just crazy. I'm not going to try to run a marathon with this thing either. But just walking around for the day, not a problem, especially on a weekend. Now, where would I use this guy? I wear this casually, so weekends is a good time to throw it on. I'm just wandering around the store, hanging out by the pool. It is water resistant. I have no problem getting it wet because of the polycarbonate band. It's not leather or anything. There's nothing on here that's going to get jacked up with a little bit of water. Make sure you do dry it out real good, because water is going to get in and around this braided metal line, and eventually can cause rust. Stainless steel does rust, folks, if you're not taking care of it. It's just a little bit harder to rust than regular steel. Just make sure you give it time to dry out real good. Don't leave it in a moist environment. It'll be fine if you've gotten it wet. On a rainy day, great watch. That way you don't have to worry about it, running from your car to the building or whatever. It's no worries at all. It's going to handle the rain just fine. It's got decent looms, so if you're out at night, it's a good night watch as well. Camping, a little bit heavy if you're trying to do backpacking and stuff. You probably don't want those extra ounces. But if you're car camping, something like that, it'll suit you just fine. Okay, the loom on this guy, and I'll pop a loom shot in, is pretty good. All these pips around the outside here will light up, as well as the hour, minute, second hands, the 24-hour hand over here at the 3 o'clock, and the chronograph's minute hand over here at the 9 o'clock. Now the chronograph second does not light up, but you'll see from the loom shot it's pretty darn decent. Now there is a unique chronograph function. Let me pull it in so you can see it. I'm going to just start the chronograph going. And you see the wheel down here at the 6 o'clock rotating. There you go. It'll rotate once per every second. Once it hits 60 of them, you'll get a tick over here on the minute wheel, all the way up to 60 minutes. Now, when you're done, and you stop it with the top button and you reset it with the bottom button, you'll watch that bottom wheel will rotate like crazy until it gets all the way back. So it'll rotate around until it gets all the way back to the original. If you're multiple minutes in, it'll sit there, it'll spin in circles for a while until it gets all the way done. Okay, checking out the crown. It is not a screw-in crown, it is a free float. And looking at the back, it looks like it is a screw-in back, but I'm not 100% sure that it is. It is nowhere indicated in my instruction manual, nor is it indicated on Invicta's website that it is a screw-in back, and that is a sought-after feature, so I would think if it were a screw-in back that they would indicate it on their site. But they don't. However, it does look like one. You know, it's got these divots out of the sides here, and there's nowhere for a pry tool. So I'm not going to try to take it off and see. One, I don't have the tool to undo a screw in, and two, I don't want to try and pry it, given that I'm going to probably sell this week. So well, we're just going to have to ride with that. It probably isn't, but it might be. I know that's a horrible answer, right? Now, taking a look back at the band, and specifically the keepers. They're both free float. You guys know I prefer my first keeper to be fixed, but that's pretty much the norm on most rubber, polyurethane, or silicone bands. Tend to be free float on both keepers. Though it's not 100%, you know, this Victorinox Swiss Army has rubber bands, and they have come up with a way to set that first keeper, and I'll show you that when we review this guy. So it can be done. But, you know, that's a higher price point watch, too. Now, this one has higher MSRP, but the reality is it's a lower price point watch. There is another issue I have with this guy, and I'm going to show you on the wrist here. We'll put it back on the wrist. Let me fix it up and pop it in the keepers. And I'm going to slide that keeper out to where I'd normally have it. And you can see this keeper covers the decoration, which we talked about before and I'm not a huge fan of. But because we're approaching where that decoration is, if you look at the side of the watch here, the keeper won't go up past that decoration, so I can't get the keeper down to the end, though it wouldn't stay here anyway. What that does, and because of where this band falls, because it comes up past the side of my wrist, it comes to a point where it basically becomes a flap. And when you're looking down on the watch, you see the flap, and that irritates me to no end, I gotta tell you. Because what happens is you're walking around, and every time this thing hits a wall or a desk or a chair, it's always catching things that I'm either banging the face of the watch because the watch is so huge and so heavy, or I'm catching that as I walk around. And plus, you got to see it. Every time I look down, I see this profile right here with this extra point at the end down here, and that just drives me nuts. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to be selling this guy this week, I believe. In addition to having another watch coming in with extremely similar colorations, but that is just obnoxious. I don't know if I can really give Invicta a knock on that. I mean, obviously they're trying to make a bigger watch for bigger people, and there may be somebody with a wrist that big that needs that much length, on their rubber strap. But I got to say that's probably the exception, not the norm. So I do think it is probably a little bit long for most people. Maybe just sell an extra XL band if you need to, but I can't imagine you're going to sell a whole bunch of them. I think a shorter band's probably fine. One that doesn't come up past the decoration so that it hides them, because they look cool. Let's show them off. Let's not hide them, especially on the presentation side of the watch. I mean, this is the side of the watch the world is going to see, and you're going to cover it up. When I wrap it up, you're going to... I can't do it, but my hand's all funky. You're going to cover it up with the strap. You spend all that time making these, these nice decorations, and then you hide them. I just don't get it. It baffles me. Again, it's hard to knock Invicta for that because it is a band made for, larger people. Big old honking wrist, big old Godzilla sized wrist, I guess. I don't know. But so it's a little tough to knock them for it, but it is something that bugs me and is one of the reasons, one among several, that leads me towards sending this watch on down to the road to hopefully bring a smile to somebody else's face for a little while, as it's done to mine, because I have enjoyed my time with it. It is a very comfortable strap. It's very soft rubber, or polycarbonate. It's very super flexible. See this guy? I mean, it's... you're not going to be at a discomfort wearing this, other than the weight. Now, if weight is a problem for you, this is not the watch for you. Look elsewhere, because it is, again, a chunky monkey, and there is going to be some heft on your wrist. As long as you're good with that, it's a pretty good deal. Sure do appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and until next time, you guys get out there and make some noise. See ya.